As people hide and pretend that who I am is not significant, they pretend my wordplay is irrelevant or something. When we see solid examples of different spellings of the same word, we see interchangeable vowels in Egyptian names, such as the deities. We see solid examples applying morphology, linguistics, etymology, the lexicon, etc. How can they then say anything other than I'm right? And on top of that, the ideas are sound. The problem is that people have to be the gender-neutral spirit or the E in order to survive. The people in charge are a bunch of sissy geeks. Apply the wordplay to the word gold, the G, the hidden hand of masonry, the seventh letter. Gold becomes old. Is a gold digger someone who dates old people? Are there bitches out there who would pretend this wordplay is false even though it is so painfully obviously true? Again, I tell you, even if the wordplay was incorrect, the ideas are sound, so who fucking cares? It can be seen as just another way to articulate these ideas in a way that you don't forget. And that, of course, was the original purpose of the wordplay. We look at criteria. Criteria. We look at accurate. A cure at A. The true cure is at A. People who breed nature and nurture, gender-neutral scum, have created mental illness in its true form. It's a natural form. Not people reacting to the madness of the system, but people who uphold the madness of the system. We see occur, right? Occur, the true reproduction of the sun spirit in martial artists. We see the mage response. And again, mage, where the M is the 13th letter, the hidden floor, so to speak, in the Masonic construct, the psychological construct, the building. It becomes age. Age. It also becomes AE and backwards EA when the G is removed, as well as the M. How does the E react to the bull? The bull or the bully, the upholds the sissy, obviously, takes on characteristics of the E. He's upholding the E spirit. He's a part of their culture. They refer to American values, not as right or left. These are two parts and two components of the same beast. We look at dual. We get the ideas and the wordplay of day-el, die-el, laid, lie-ad, and low-ad, and lead. Alchemy, turning lead into gold, we also get lead. Does a duel not partially determine historically who is going to be the leader? And quite often directly determine that? How stupid is it to pretend that any of these ideas are false? The duel between the day-el, and if he loses, the true El dies. One of the quote-unquote lords, or the Els, die. Symbolically and otherwise. So the duel between Alexander Hamilton and this guy named Burr in American history. Okay, the Burr was the boar. And I'm not going to go over that. Let's skip ahead to some key ideas. Mercury. 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 Oh, why is Mercury Mercury? Well, think about the merchant. The merchant dice. He also is related to Hermes, and I've gone over this before. He has to do with financial gain, commerce. That's what he's a deity of. Greece and Rome, they come together. Eloquence. Thus poetry. He's a deity of eloquence, not grace. Thus poetry, to confuse you about what the ideal man is. Is he some rich old man with an elegant house? Or is he a graceful, divine martial artist? Of course, He's a martial artist. Even according to the bull, Jesus came to bring a sword. We just don't see powerful examples of him in his true warrior form. Why? Because it's by the bull. He's a deity of messages and communication. Talk about hidden in plain view. Body language, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How does a woman communicate that she's interested in a man? How does she communicate that she's vulnerable? It also includes divination. He's a deity of travelers and boundaries, borders, immigrants, of luck. Lucky you, you can use your coercive power to have sex with that immigrant female. A deity of trickery and thieves. How can we confuse people using communication and drugs that cause slurred speech? Drugs and alcohol, chemicals, materials, substances. How can we create a psychological construct and redefine human interactions, race relations, social interactions in a multicultural society in a way that elevates the old gold elite versus athlete or elite? The T is the plus, the feminine suffix, the H is the fence, which is also the difference between spar and sport. The T is the feminine suffix. What is the difference between how a man does physical activity? It is intensity. It's also the difference between the sun and the moon. So in Western sports and all the sports that we refer to as sports, we see a feminine, gender-neutral, watered-down version, and that is why we see women participating as well. Could a woman compete for Pharaoh in the true order of the old kingdom light temple? I say nay. Were the original warrior tribes that followed the various hawk and falcon deities in the pre-dynastic world of Egypt led by women? I say no. What historian would say otherwise? We see this in sports. The team captain with the head cheerleader. We see the black man made subhuman. And why? Is it insecurities? Insecure ITs or it-ease. We look at the word God. Guide. Dog. Also, Mercury was one of the deconsentes and decomplices or accomplice. I believe there was a list of them. Okay, I don't have time to go over that. We see the words farewell, warfare, fairgrounds, pharaoh. We see the fair as a fee. Think about how these things connect to selling your soul, the well in terms of reproduction and so on. Think about kinky, kin-key. The more you are kinky, the closer you are to a pedophile or someone who is having sex with their own kin. Talk about a gateway behavior. And of course, Babylon was known as the gateway to the gods. Which ones? The gender-neutral whores that rode the beast. They talk about Semiramis. The key and the gate. Mercury was also compared, Janus was compared to Quirinus. And that leads us to the old Capitoline triad versus the new. You had Jupiter, Mars, and Quirinus. The new triad, and of course Janus is where you get January, and they also eventually replaced it with Juno for January when it was really Janus. Okay? So the new triad, you had Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. Quirinus was originally associated with the mint. It became the woman with the mint, the Capitoline mint thus the term capital, and as it relates to money. Also, you have the word cap. I, T is the plus, the feminine suffix L. If you look at it in those terms, certainly you see the cap and the feminine or gender neutral I in terms of the L. What does a bitch wants you to see is the best way to look at it. All right, so Hermes was compared to Mercury, going back to Mercury. Herdsmen, thieves, graves, heralds. Heralds, the caduceus. Caduceus. He was a trickster as well. The patron of roads and travelers. Now, if you are tricking women and getting them to date sissies, certainly you are murking the spirit of God through Pharaoh in its pure masculine form. You are murking Airy. And what does it mean to murk? It also means to make one unkempt. He's probably going to turn to drinking and substance abuse because that's part of the culture that you've confused him with. His reaction to the satanic order might include self-harm and unnecessary risky behavior. Think about this. Are we not talking about scum here? Think about worship and worship, spirit and spirit, hidden Amun-Ra, Hades, and Hides. I've gone over this before. We look at the terms of the ideal men in our culture. If you are a non-believer in Western culture, you have a Jew, an atheist, you have a pantheist of Jewish descent. Albert Einstein is your ideal person. Or maybe an atheist, Stephen Hawking. Okay? Okay, and basically, what is a pantheist? You have the word pan. That's also where you get this pedophile, pan and bull. Pan means all. He basically thought there was no God and God was encompassed by all. How stupid is that? That's like going to a martial arts class and saying the top martial artist is all. No, it is the guy who can outmaneuver and kill these other motherfuckers. Outman over. Outman you. Ever. We'd expect it to happen every time. When we look at a son of a righteous man versus the son of a bitch. Okay? The son of a wicked man. Hyksos. Amen's cult learned from the Hyksos who worship Set. And I've gone over that in my other videos. We talk about privilege versus obstacles. And in the dominant genes of the righteous man and how they can cure these other people. But if you do not have a suitable helper and people are not breeding in love, nothing good can happen. So when we look at this, right, the Jews have obviously lied. Obviously. You have the ideal man, whether you are a Christian or an atheist or a pantheist or a New Age occultist that values intellect over superstition, it's a Jew. All paths lead to the Jew, the hidden Jewish hand behind Rome. And that's why Jupiter is also depicted with elf ears, because the elves in popular culture represent the Jews. I would go as far as to say. Elvise, elf. Elf backwards, elves. Elf backwards, flee. Now, who would flee one-on-one? Now, I'm not racist against the Jews. I have Jews in my family. I consider myself part Jewish. But make no mistake, religion comes from black martial artists from the Sun Temple, who then bred with other races, creating the mulatto Egyptians as time went on. It doesn't come from the Jew. And why wouldn't he give the black man his credit if this book is true? Because it's by the bull, and it's the Torah. They tore the A. Also backwards, it is Hair-O, because they really know that Haru is the true ruler of the O, the true spirit of the O. He is the leopard moving in the right direction toward God, and not the regression through the snake, which is a ground crawler or a sissy jackal or a silly, uncoordinated, big brute hippo or a boar, or any other less significant and divine, detestable beast and unclean animal.